Done.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're here for Roll4It D&D. We were just having a spirited discussion about Gaston versus the Beast. Yep. Not like the actual fight, but just in terms of like
that
personality
part was
traits.
one-sided. Let's be honest. In fact, I'm frankly surprised the Beast took as much damage as he did. The whole great monstrosity of muscle and claws.
Although Gaston ripped a chunk off of a gargoyle with his bare hands, which is like, damn, that was pretty beefy too, though. Just straight off the side of a marble statue, he ripped the horn thing off and used it as a club. I'd be like, I couldn't rip that off if you asked me to. I'd be like, this is not going to happen. Thing's made of marble. What, are you out of your mind?
You got to eat 5 dozen eggs a day.
That's true. Yeah, there we are.
Raw eggs, though. Can't cook them.
Yeah.
Every morning to help me get large.
Well, welcome on in. This is Roll4It D&D. If you've never been here before, man, have you taken a wrong turn on the internet. If you've been here before, welcome on back. We hang out for a little while every week and play some D&D for you. Today we have Enter Elysium, Avik, Shenrare, and Bentham. It's the same cast every week. I don't know why I announced it like it was going to change around at any point.
Every week for all the shows sometimes.
We've had one guest. We had Anders, who was actually pretty good at his character. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm just going to put it out there now because I feel that I owe Bentham this honesty. If Bentham would just get up to go to the loo and then trip and fall and get knocked out on the toilet,
this is going somewhere horrible.
We needed an immediate stand-in. I'd be completely okay with the switch right now.
Does it have to involve me getting grievously injured?
It sounds like it does.
Yeah, I mean, actually. I think
the implication there is like that Avik is standing there tripping you over and pushing you into the toilet and then holding your head down in the bowl.
No.
Shame
I
if
just
he had
said he
an
knocked
accident.
himself out. And I said nothing about drowning him in the toilet.
Okay.
That's going a little bit far. I mean, come on now. We are friends.
Oh, God.
You are friends, and that's why you don't pee in the toilet before you drown him in it.
Oh, God.
See,
with my friends, I think they would pee in the toilet first. But I've got kind of like a Johnny Knoxville jackass thing going on with my friends, so it's like, oh well. They tend to ramp it up when they love you, whereas they hold back when they don't. Gotta give it to you for real. In the previous episode, our noble party had found out a number of things. They have a couple of tasks at hand. They had picked up, I think, a bottle of plum wine and were looking at going north into the forest. And in addition, there were also things going on in town. They were searching for black pearls, as I recall, and they talked to a gem vendor about who the last strand had been sold to. And so, at the end, they had gone to sleep. But at this point, it's usually where we like to talk about the Patreon and the way that you can support the show. I choose Avik. You never talk about it. Let's have you talk about the Patreon.
Okay, well, the Patreon, we have a number of tiers. We have successfully crossed some of them. That is, we have goals. The next goal up, which may or may not already be crossed, so, depending on how much you like seeing a bunch of guys dress up funny, will be good or bad. But currently we're on the cosplay stretch goal sort of thing. We've got a couple of tiers, different tiers within those allow you, for different amounts of support, will allow you to be able to receive different perks, such as the after show VODs. We after each show, we have about half an hour, sometimes a little bit longer, where we just talk about our characters, take our levels, that sort of thing, and just otherwise shenanigans occur. There are also... you'll have to remind me at what level the tiers are, unfortunately, so I can't. But we also have tiers for MP3s, exported MP3s, so you can.
That's just $1. That's just $1.
Very cheap. The first rung on the ladder, and of course, way down the bottom, we've got a tier that's basically there just for people who are stupidly rich.
Just insanely rich, just wealthy people, just being like, "Make it rain."
Yeah, like
and then we stand
at some stage,
like,
we just can't give you anything that we think is like.
You've already got everything you want, basically, at this, to have that much money.
Who doesn't have a solid gold lobster paperweight? That's what we could do.
Yeah, so if you want to support us for about 50 grand a month,
yeah.
I'm talking to you, Oil
this
Emirate.
Discover the Shen is actually not sitting on a chair. He's sitting on a box full of gold bullion.
I need to get rid of it somehow.
Surely it would be like a golden chair.
I can't find it at my house.
I'm imagining it's like that Nazi gold bullion that you can't move, so you have to melt it down into other things, and that's why.
Oh, the gold
that rubber chicken in the background is actually solid gold. He just covered it with a thin layer of rubber to hide it from thieves.
I love
you,
treasure
you
hunters.
take the bottom out of it, and it's just filled with like African conflict diamonds in there. He's got this context, man.
They haven't even been rinsed off. They're still bloody. It's just like, man, Shan. Man.
It's an upgrade on the piggy bank.
This is why you shouldn't have me talk about the patron. It goes off the rails. But yes, patron is there if you would like to support us, and no pressure, of course. Just being here is support in and of itself, and we deeply appreciate everyone who stops by and just cheers us on, or like makes fun of us when we do stupid stuff. But,
or does terrible character out of us that makes us look even more stupid, which is awesome.
Oh my god, yes. Please, more of that.
At some stage, when we get enough, I will try and put together like a little reel of it and put it into like the mid-show so you've got something.
A collage, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What song's gonna go in the background though while it slowly pans between the pictures?
I can't remember the name of the song, but it's the one that plays in Smart whenever they show the kids art.
Yeah, I was thinking something like Sarah McLachlan or something.
Man, I love the fact that Benson had that reference somewhere in his head to make it. That was just glorious.
That's the showing art tune. I don't know the name of it.
Classical track. But anyway, back on track. So what are we going to be doing today then?
We had ended our last episode with you guys going to bed. You were at the tavern. You had drank heavily after finding out information about your quest and having a conversation with several merchants, finding out about who the last black pearls had been
drunken heavily. Just putting that one out there.
I had.
You won't wake up with a headache. However, Dax totally will.
Did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you found out where the last black pearls went. I'm assuming one of you wrote that down somewhere because I didn't, because I'm the best GM ever.
Patamine Grainwald has black pearls bought off UF for his wife. UF, Ursula Fenwick, merchant, gems and jewelry, buys stuff.
Man, you got like secret codes and shit in there.
Oh yeah.
Remember
I just wrote down the name and the label black pearls.
Mine just says black pearls.
I love your notes. That's glorious. Black pearls.
I'm like, this doesn't help me out very much. I probably should have written a little bit more. But yeah, you had all gone to bed in the previous episode. And so upon awaking, nobody else finds anything really, really interesting. But Adavi, when you wake up, all of the belongings you had placed underneath your bed have been neatly arranged on hooks on the wall that were not there previously when you went to bed the night before. And then when you open up the door to your in-room, there's a thin line of like white ash in like a semicircle around the outside of the door jamb. Like as you open it, you're like, oh, that's interesting. It blows a little bit as the door opens. Just like the white part. You know, like down in the middle of the fire where it's all white and everything? Somebody has taken those and just sprinkled them in a semicircle outside of your door.
Well, I'm gonna rub my finger along the edge of the door jamb there and just sort of touch my tongue to see if I can tell what the hell it is. Just make sure it's ash.
Yeah, you figure out pretty quickly that it's actually ash. More than likely,
I just want to test that it's ash. Yeah, it tastes like the ash that I'm used to eating.
You don't eat ash. It's like, come on, man. Every Ash Wednesday, you just gotta chow down.
Quality ash. Mm. Yeah.
For me, it's more the first thing that he does when he finds a new stimuli is he just shoves it in his mouth real fast.
Yes.
Like, you don't know where that ash has been. You don't know what life that ash has lived.
Tomorrow night, Dax goes, picks up some manure, rubs it on his door, and sees what happens.
He puts that in a semicircle.
What's this?
Is this shit? Yeah, it is.
Like categorical knowledge of the taste of shit.
Every day something else.
Memories.
So yeah, like you just say, oh, it must be the How Pack, whatever they're called, giving me these strange gifts.
Well, meanwhile, I'd like to inspect all of my belongings, make sure that nothing's gone missing. I mean, getting rearranged in the middle of the night is a little bit weird and spooky, and not used to that. Is everything there?
It's all there, and it all appears to have been cleaned. There's like a fresh nature scent to it all. It feels it's probably the cleanest it's ever been. It's been on a boat for like 3 months without being washed, so you figure by now it's probably accumulated a stink.
That is fantastic.
It smells lemony fresh.
Well, can I head downstairs and just see if I can find... What was the barkeep's name?
The barkeep's name was Calder Cobb, as I recall.
Cobb. Well, hopefully I can find him down there and just go say thanks for cleaning up all my shit, just to make sure he was the guy who did it.
He raises an eyebrow and looks at you and... Cleaning's in the afternoon.
Need to give my mustache a little twirl then. Like, okay, well, someone entered my room in the middle of the night. Is this a normal occurrence that you're in?
Not that you've got the only key. There's no duplicates for the doors up there. I'd say it's out of the ordinary.
I'm gonna tap my key on his countertop there, very loudly, as I think. Loud noises do help me think. All right, very well. Let's see if I can find the rest of the group.
Would I have been able to have gotten up a little bit earlier than others and procured myself a bath?
Yeah, by all means.
Awesome. Then that's where you'll find me.
In the bathtub?
In the bath.
Yep. My feet on the edge of the bathtub, me just sunk in, just resting.
All right. Dax and... Oh, God. I always forget your name, man. Mormont. I always have to remind myself. I have to think like whenever I look at your character, I think like SLC Utah, and then I'm like, oh yeah, his name's like Mormon. Every single time, Mormon. Wow. I know his real life name. It's just his dwarf name. It slips my mind all the time. For some reason, I've dedicated everybody else, and I just can't get Mormon to stick.
What's his last name?
I remember the Stoneweaver. I remember that part.
Okay.
That's the cool bit.
Yeah, it's the coolest.
Yeah,
the dwarfy
boring.
bit.
Boring. Sorry, you're a boring name.
So Mormon and Dax, what are you up to?
Well, I would have had a bath the previous night to get all the weird ghostly dog hair off.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's now sorted, and I'm no longer slightly smoking.
Yep, you're good.
You can go on the full.
I would love it if he said, "No, the water just washed it around and spread it." It's like oil in the back of your throat. You don't drink water if you've got a hot curry. It just spreads the spice. No. You need milk. You need a bath.
For years afterwards, I'm like, they won't come off. Oh God. So maybe I kill it or something.
I asked for a bath last night, and I was very drunk, and I had to try to, with some effort, to not drown myself in the normal-sized bath while drunk. I assume I succeeded.
There's no jacuzzi for you.
Couldn't you just use you could use the chamber pot, you'd be fine.
But I used that. I was drinking heavily. Don't use that.
Don't pretend that you didn't do it in the bath a little bit as well. We all know what happens when you drink. Don't even try to pretend.
But I got up at, like, the break of dawn just before the sun was rising, just so that I could pray as the sun was coming up. And then I probably went back to bed for, like, another hour because I had a hangover.
It's usually a pretty good plan.
Yep.
You gotta see, for me, when I get hangovers, I don't get them very often because you gotta drink 3 glasses of water before you go to bed. That's my remedy right there. You wake up, never have a hangover ever, no matter how much you drink. You'd be good.
Yep.
Right as rain.
Drink 1 water, 1 beer, 1 water, 1 beer, or whatever it is throughout the night.
You'll have to pee a lot, though. That's the downside to the strategies. You're definitely going to have to pee a lot.
All right, Anabi's big, heavy hands are going to be pounding on Dax's door.
What is it? Who's there?
Hey,
Where's
it's
my
a
head
Davi.
pounding?
Hey, good, you're awake. Open the door.
Okay.
I love how accepting he is. He's like, open the door. Oh, okay. I don't know who's there. But...
What's going on?
And I push the door in, just push past the goblin. And I'm inspecting his door frame. And I'm like, was anyone in your room last night?
I don't think so.
Do I see any of the white stuff on his door frame?
Absolutely not. It's covered in all kinds of other dust and grime. Looks like it hasn't been mopped or cleaned in a while, but it definitely does not have perfectly formed little semicircles of ash around it.
I'm gonna pick up Dax. I hope he's wearing a shirt. Are you wearing a shirt?
What is the temperature around here? Like, what's the climate in this place?
I like to imagine he's wearing like a wee willy winky like bedtime nightie.
Yes.
With a little hat and everything.
I'm wearing like a little like a pajama onesie.
Yeah, he's got like a little candle.
Yeah.
Little hat.
All right, well, I'll pick him up just so we can get face to face for a minute. I'll be like, someone was in my room last night. It wasn't you.
No?
I know you like to screw around, but just want to make sure it wasn't you in my room last night.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll let him down nice and gently. Do I notice, like, does he have his clothes up on hooks or anything on the walls, or is it all just... No? Okay.
No, I like dumped on the floor. Like, I was pretty drunk. And let's just say that leather armor is not the easiest thing to get off when drunk. Personal experience right there.
Even jeans are hard to get off when you're that drunk.
Well, I hope you at least got him off before you use the chamber pot.
You can see the chamber pot is still, like, half slid out from under the bed. It's pretty full.
All right.
You gotta throw it out the window like the rest of the medieval people do.
Well, I would have, but I couldn't figure out how to work the window, latch.
How can you reach the window while also lifting the chamber pot, though?
Yeah, it's very complicated. You have to get, a stool, and then you have to put the chamber pot on the stool, and get up onto the stool, and then... It's just not worth the effort when drunk.
I'm really sorry to wake you up, Dax. I was just worried. Someone was in my room last night. It's bothering me. It's eating at me. Do you know anything about this? Can I... Do you have a minute? Can I show you? Are you awake? Do you need a beer to wake up?
I'm fine. We can... Let's go look. I'm good.
All right. Down the hall. And I'm gonna open my room and show him around the edge of the door how it's got this white powder, white ash. And I go, I think it's ash from a fireplace. Can you make anything of it?
I guess I want to make an Arcana check.
Sure.
Arcana. Which won't really result in anything, but 10.
Okay. It feels like it was vaguely magical to you in some way. Just the perfect nature of the way that they've done the semicircle. It's a very, very good semicircle. And the only time you've ever seen a semicircle done with that perfect geometry is in the casting of ritual spells and stuff like that. But you don't really get any other suspicions from it other than that.
Well, it's a very exact semicircle. Almost magically exact. But other than that, it's either a very elaborate prank or someone's, I don't know, magic? I don't recognize it.
You hear footsteps behind you from the hallway.
What do we see down the hallway? Take a look.
You turn around and look, and the innkeeper's wife is currently cleaning the chamber pots out of the end of the room, and she's coming towards you with two... she's double fisting them right now. She clearly is not shaken by this, however. This is her daily duty here. No, I don't mean to be punny. But anyways, she comes around the corner and sees the semicircle, and she raises an eyebrow. You go, oh, looks like you've got a howpack.
You've got a what?
A howpack. Little helper sprite.
I give Dax a nudge, and I go, remember from the crazy man at the house yesterday.
I don't remember a crazy man in the house yesterday. Did you talk to him when I was busy doing something else?
Oh, that's right. You weren't there. You're always underfoot. I can never really remember if you're there or not. Oh yes. Can you tell me more about this? Do we know the innkeeper's name? Do we know his wife's name?
His wife's name is Mariah.
Mariah, I'll ask her name. What is your name, madam? Can you tell us more about howpacks?
Oh, my name is Mariah. She steps around the corner and, looking down at the white ash along the floor, steps gingerly over it and looks into the room. Did you hang up your things on the hooks?
I did not, but they were there this morning.
Looks like you've made a little friend. She points down at the ash on the floor. She goes, right there. That's a warning from the howpack. He's done you a favor now. He expects you to, have you seen the little shrines that have been around town? They're here and there. They've got a little bit of food on them or something of that kind.
Yeah.
The semicircle is it's sort of like the howpack's bill, I suppose, for helping. If you set out food tonight on a little plate outside your door, you'll probably be fine. But if you ignore the warning, they can turn a little bit nasty.
I have no intent of anything turning nasty around here. I'm always friendly with the small folk, and I give Dax a little pat on the head.
Don't call me small.
Do you know what kind of food they like, Mariah?
Oh, really anything. Big fans of a little bit of chocolate, if I've heard correctly, but you can leave just about anything outside your door and it'll be all right.
I need to cut her off here. I just opened my eyes. Chocolate? You have chocolate?
Well, not I.
Here
you
in
might
Woodley.
be able to. Maybe. What with the quarantine and all, it may be difficult to come by. But like I said, you could put anything outside your door and it'll probably be all right.
I'll definitely be remembering that. Do you know anything else that I need to worry about if there's going to be a howpack in here? What do I do when I'm sleeping? Why are they rearranging stuff?
Oh, Mostly just ignore them. They're not too much harm as long as you don't look them in the eye.
Right, don't look him in the eye.
Don't look him in the eye.
Yeah, they're mostly invisible to folk like you and I, but every now and again you'll catch them out of the corner of your eye. And just don't look at them. If you look at them, I can't tell you what'll happen because I don't know anybody who's actually done it. But that's the word, is that you just never look at them in the eye.
Oh, and before I forget, I head over to my bed and I pull back 2 very large, very full chamber pots. I hand them to Mariah.
Her hands are already full, and she kind of looks down. She's like, I'll be back for those momentarily. And she turns around and heads back down the stairs.
Thanks again.
Before she goes,
Thank you for the information and, actually bothering to spend the time to talk to us. Thank you very much.
and I tip her silver.
Hooray!
You carry silver around in your wee willy winky nighty?
Oh yeah, you never know
Oh
when
my
you need
god,
to, like...
Mr. Moneybags over here.
Well,
I never
sometimes
know
you need
how
to
to
like
have my
escape
pouch full of
from
gold
your
and silver.
from your hotel room in a hurry, and it helps if you have a little bit of walking cash on you. I'm just saying, it's not like it hasn't happened before.
Oh, is it like do you sew it into your little thing? And it's like, this is my emergency
You know that
cash.
little, like,
Now
bobble
take
on
me
the
out
end of
and
the
I'm gonna have
hat?
to sew more back in.
And it always like droops down because it's full of gold.
That's it. That's
People
it.
just
Whenever
think it's
I
like a
see
jingle
one of those
ball in it or
hats, I'm just
something.
gonna grab it and tug it just a tack. And if
Yeah, I
it's not
just
full of
figured
gold,
you
I'm
had like a money belt.
It's like a little flap inside the PJs themselves, like little
Yeah.
secret flaps.
It's his money thong.
Do we have
she-
any- Sorry, what? Go ahead.
She looks down to take the silver and sits a chamber pot down on the floor. Oh, thank you. Do people often not talk to you when you raise questions?
Well, sometimes being foreigners in a, different land, it's a little bit difficult to, sometimes people are a bit wary and stuff, and it's always nice to meet someone who actually will, give you the time of day and talk to you and, good information and good service and stuff.
Well, it'd be a cruel individual who allows there to be a howpack in your room and never tells you what to do.
How's it? Well, at least I know not to look him in the eye now.
She shrugs and smiles before picking back up the chamber pot off the floor and starting to descend the stairs.
We've lost the opportunity for something really hilarious to have happened within the party now that he knows about the Howpack.
Yeah, I was really disappointed when I found out because I was like, next time I see a howpack, I'm gonna look it in the eye because I don't know any better. Now,
But you won't realize what it is till you look at it. You'll make a perception check, and it's like you get a 20, you look at it in the eye, and it kills you.
turns
The
into
only
a dragon.
target of critical roll is bad for you. Yeah, you have a really thorough look. You know everything about it with this glance. Also, you looked at it in the eye. The eye looks beautiful, by the way, but now you're dead.
Yeah, just be like, okay, I turn around and look it in the eye. Cool, make a death saving throw. Yeah, I go back to my room and I change.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of my evening robes and into my actual walking robes.
Okay. As you're doing that, you hear heavy footfalls coming up the stairs, and slowly you hear them coming towards your door, and there's a bang, 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 bang on Adavi's door.
Open it up.
It's Calder. Calder's arrived, and he's holding a small slip of paper. He goes, this, I don't know. I think Mary Shelby dropped this off. She came up to the counter down there and said that she needed you to come meet her as soon as possible.
Oh, by
It's
all
around
means.
this time that I'm actually exiting my room as well.
Sure.
I've finished my bath and I've put on my my robes and tied my sash and all that sort of stuff. And I'm exiting in much the same way that Davy is used to seeing me. And I just catch the tail end of that. Oh, you're up, Davy. Excellent.
Yes, Dasson, good morning.
I'm not used to you being up this early.
I was spooked. I got up to use the chamber pot and I noticed there was something amiss in the room. And I show him inside my room how there's hooks hung up with all my clothes neatly. He's not used to me having my things on hooks. I've always had it in suitcases and bags that we carry with us. And I point him out the white ash around the doorway. And then I mentioned that the innkeeper's wife, Mariah, said this is the sign of a howpack living in the room. So now apparently I have a companion.
Oh, I love the brown. I seem interested. I'm kind of paying a little bit of attention, but though I am aware that the message bearer is still here, and so after a moment, a nod to acknowledge that I seen what he said, and I turn to the who was it again? What was the name?
Calder, the innkeeper.
Yeah. You mentioned something of Mary Shelby when I was coming out of my room.
Yeah, Mary Shelby came by a little while ago and left this down here with me. Said that when all of you were woken up, that you should swing by. You should go by the temple. She sounded like she had figured something out. I'm not really sure. She seemed somewhat excited, although somewhat apprehensive as well. And he hands off the piece of paper, which simply says what he's relayed. Come to the temple, essentially. Signed, Mary Shelby.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be on our way as soon as my companions are up. Are the others up, Atavi?
What was all the banging about?
I stick my head at the door.
I may have awoken one of them, yes.
Okay, no Mormon yet.
What time of day is it?
How early do you want to get up? I figure it's about 8 in the morning.
My character would have been up, probably around the same time Dax woke up initially to pray, and he's just spent the time getting ready and bathing and tidying up his clothes and his pack and all that sort of stuff. He is very well presented at this point. Like on the ship, it after a lot of time, it was a little hard to keep up appearances, but he always tried to maintain not so much. He didn't seem to care so much about his appearance in terms of like a vanity sense, but more of an etiquette kind of way. He didn't want to present himself to anyone in a tardy fashion, but he's definitely put a fair bit of effort into making sure his robes are properly presented. He's even signs that some of the wear and tear has been repaired on them.
Sounds like you need a help pack. You got a lot of stuff to do in the morning. I like sleeping in too much. I can't be that neat and tidy. I'm like, well, there's wrinkles, and I'm just gonna live with it.
I guess I'll go check on Mormont.
Walk out the door, still buttoning up the last strap.
Mormont, you up?
What? Dax, is that you?
Yes.
Are we off? What's happening?
Well, apparently there's some sort of message and that people want to get together and possibly breakfast and stuff.
All right, well, breakfast, yes. And
Dax here is over his shoulder. There was no word of breakfast.
Happy breakfast.
You hear me slowly getting out of bed and knocking about.
I run downstairs as he slowly gets out of bed. I grab another ale, and run back to the door.
Man, 8 a.m. drinking. You're starting early.
Man. That is harsh.
Hair of the dog.
After a bit, you see me open the door.
I hand you the ale.
There you are.
In this time that I basically shepherded and actually looked at what Adavi's been pointing out and probably had Adavi properly explain what the innkeeper's wife had said. But otherwise, I've shepherded him downstairs and prepared to be off, make sure he's got all his stuff together and that sort of thing.
I'll be just scooping up all my things and sticking them in a bag.
All right, we're ready to...
Drinking the ale a bit.
Are we going to... something... message? What did the message say?
We've gone downstairs at this point.
All right, well, I guess we go downstairs to meet you guys. And then...
What did the
You'll
message
find us just kind of milling around, just stood. We haven't taken a table. We're toward the door and clearly just waiting. So as you approach... well, there was nothing specific about the message. Apparently, Mary Shelby asked to meet us. She seemed excited. And then I look over at Calder and then back, but also a little
apprehensive.
Calder pipes in. He goes, "Yeah, I asked her specifically what she wanted to let you know, so that I could just keep you from having to take a trip out to the temple. But she was pretty adamant about the fact that she wanted the talk to be in person." So he shrugs and goes back to cleaning a mug and scrubbing at a table.
Is it possible to get breakfast ready for about half an hour's time? And we'll be back by then, I imagine.
He looks over his shoulder and kind of goes like that. And he shouts to Mariah, breakfast 4. And you can hear shuffling around the backside of the bar in a little partitioned area.
I cast him a nod, then look back to the rest of the group, and specifically eyeing Mormond and the flag and the veil, and then back up to Mormond, and it's like,
He needs it. It's a dwarf thing.
Am I aware of this?
Yeah, I'm not hiding this. I'm clearly like eyeing you and the ale, and then you. It's like
I was thinking, don't judge me. Sort of look.
Are we ready to leave, or do you need some time to finish your drink?
I whisper to Nason that I hear it helps you grow a beard.
I'll finish off the drink. I was probably most of the way through it.
Okay. And then we head off to the temple.
On the way.
So, we did give her some of that dog hair, right? I imagine
we did.
Yeah.
Maybe she's been studying that or something. That's the only reason I can see that she'll want us to like rush there really fast.
Either that, or she has been studying the books, found something, or perhaps even something happened while we were asleep. She may have heard something. It might have been another incident. We'll find out soon enough once we get there.
Okay.
Maybe she made something. Like, she said she was working on that, something to help with dealing with the hound. But that's what we were getting the black pearls for. Maybe she's made some progress with that.
Oh yeah, en route, to save going over it again, I fill the rest of the group in about our discussion last night we had with the merchants and the fact that Patamine Greymwald has the black pearls that we need now.
Okay.
And who were they again?
Patamine Greymwald. All I know that is he lives here, and he brought the black pearls for his wife, apparently. That's all I know.
Do you have any idea what his station is? Is he a noble? To be truthful, I don't know much about the value of black pearls.
Neither do I. That said,
Sure, we'll find out then.
The lieutenant did say he'd buy them using the funds, so I guess we just have to figure out a price or something.
Well, we'll soon find out.
Are we passing by the market on the way to the temple?
You are.
Is anything open, or is it too early?
There's definitely the rumblings of a day starting to begin for the merchants who set up their stalls over and off to your left as you walk down the main street of town. You can see the temple off in front of you, slightly to the left in the distance. The tents along the side of you. You go past the tent city, and now with the stalls alongside, there's definitely people moving around, and nobody's hawking or doing anything like that just yet. And honestly, with the quarantine, it's like most people seem to have outrun their supply, but there are people sitting around rearranging things on their various shop tables and trying to make what they have left look presentable.
Well, when we passed through initially, did we, or did Adavi, I guess, notice any of the vendors selling anything related to the inky? Like little...
no.
Small-sized wood things? Okay.
Is it obvious that he's looking around for it? Does he even mention that?
I don't mention it, but I am looking through the stalls.
Oh, yeah. As you go, I'll noting that you're taking an interest and perhaps your pace is slowing here and there. Looking to shop for anything? Is there something you needed, Abby?
Give a shrug. I'm not sure. I think so. I'd like to get a bit of rope and some of those little wooden owl-shaped things over the door. The inky.
The inky?
Yes.
Didn't the old fella that we spoke with say that they're typically made by yourself? That is, for the person who's going to be using them?
I figured I could just get a small wooden block and carve something, sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm certain there would be somebody that would sell some wood. In fact, given the size of the inky, you could probably just find some. Certainly if we're going into the craftwood.
I was thinking the same.
While we're on the walk, though, do we notice a like a leather armor store or someone that would trade in leather armor at all?
Sure. Yeah, you quickly find a tanner who appears to be a leather worker, in essence, who's sitting there working on a belt.
I'll signal the rest of the group to go on, rather than hold them up. I'm just going to speak with the tanner here. It's nothing to do with the temple. I just want you to make a sale. And I head over there. It's notable that I haven't been wearing my leather armor since I took it off the other night.
Okay.
When I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable in it. And that has been more or less just slung over my pack up until now. And I head off to see if I can make a sale.
Sure, you come across the vendor, and at the moment it seems like he's starting the first little bits of his day. He's sitting there with a long strip of leather that appears to have been cut into the shape of like a belt, and he's using some kind of punching tool just to mash some holes into the end of it as you arrive.
Good day. I was wondering, I have some leather armor that I don't need anymore. Would you be interested in purchasing it? I noted that supplies are running low in the town here and there, so I thought that it might be useful to get a little bit more stock.
He looks up quickly, goes, "You have the armor with you?"
Yes, I do. I pull my pack off my shoulder, and the leather armor has just kind of been tied to it, and I take it out and I show it to him.
Okay. He sits the belt that he's been working on down on the table next to him along with the tool and starts going over the leather armor very, very carefully, kind of appraising its value, essentially, looking to see if there's any problems with the workmanship, if there's any rivets that have been popped out. And having rotated around in his hands a few times, he checks some of the trouble spots, which tend to be the joints where a lot of friction goes through. Looks to be in reasonably decent condition. You wear it a lot?
I haven't worn it a lot, but I do try to keep my belongings in good repair. And I look down at myself, almost as if to emphasize the point.
Yeah, I probably won't end up selling it. It looks like it's been tailored for your shape, but I probably won't end up selling it to anybody. I'll probably piece it out and maybe reappropriate some of the rivets and the leather and whatnot, and maybe use those. I can give you 4 gold pieces. That sound all right?
Of course, yes.
Awesome.
I don't even begin to barter. It's clear that I'm just happy to be rid of it, honestly.
Sure. He produces a small pouch and slides 4 coins across the table, and then takes the leather armor and walks it into his tent behind him and kind of sets it off in the corner. And when he returns, he extends a hand and says, "It's a pleasure doing business with you."
Indeed. And I shake his hand and move to leave. But as I'm leaving, I pause. I look around. Are there any inky on the store?
No, there aren't any inky.
Okay.
Oh, are there any inky on the store hanging, you mean?
Yeah.
No,
like of his own.
No.
And I carry on. And I just move to catch up with everyone else.
So while we're also going through the market, I want to keep my eye out for any stalls selling quill, ink, what they're called, wax stamps, parchment, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, you'd find somebody that has that sort of stuff pretty quickly, although with the exception of the wax and the stamps, those would be a little bit harder to come by, but you find parchment, quills, and that kind of stuff very, very quickly.
Effectively, what I'm looking for is a forgery kit, which is effectively all those things together for 15 golds.
Okay.
How can I buy a forgery kit without the stamps and stuff, or?
Let me take a look here. With the forgery kit, essentially, I would rule it, just to keep things going forward, is that you spend like 25 minutes walking around in between vendors and you put it together yourself, essentially. And so, yeah, you can get a forgery kit if you want.
In which case, if it's going to take 25 minutes, I'll just do it on the way back, because we have half an hour time limit on food. So we'll continue on. I'll say we do it on the way back. That's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So do we get to the temple without any further ado?
You do. It's a pretty simple journey. Your boot gets stuck in the mud for a second, but aside from that, there are no interesting things that happen.
I kick it off against one of the curbstones nearby.
As you walk into the temple, you see this time, strangely enough, Mary Shelby is actually out front looking for you when you arrive, or she appears to be searching for you to come through. And seeing you come up the steps, she looks very, very relieved and goes, "Oh, good. We'll not be talking in my office. In fact, let's just take a walk." And she points down the street. She's like, "There are things that I've come across during. I'm sorry. You notice that her face. She seems like she's not gotten a lot of sleep. Like it seems
I would like to roll insight.
Sure.
Yeah, so would I, actually. Given her current state.
12. And then 200.
Also 12.
Okay. This is the 200 I'm expecting. 20.
20.
There we go.
Yeah, Noson has quite a bit. Hey,
Mormon!
nailed it too.
Double 20s.
Mormon and
talk about
Noson.
my ale. It's fine.
Mormon and Noson, you notice that her face looks a little sunken in and a little puffy. It kind of makes you think that maybe she hasn't gotten a whole lot of sleep the last couple of days since you arrived and we started having all this exposition and things started happening. Essentially, since you've come and met with her, she spent almost all of her time with her nose buried in a book, is what you would more estimate than not.
Okay. I don't mention it, but I wear an expression that it's borderline between concerned and curious.
Sure. Do you all want to walk with her?
Yep.
Okay,
Sure.
so as you fall in line behind her, she walks you down the street and then takes like a sharp right into like an alleyway almost that leads up to the outside palisade wall, and leaning up against it, she looks to you and speaks in a very, very low tone. So this is the part where things get a little bit odd. I spent the night reading about the current predicament, and I know that I had told you that it seems like the Black Hound is a spirit of some kind brought about by the general feeling of sadness, or perhaps just the lack of morale here in the town with everything that's going on. I've come across a couple of concerning passages, and while I told you I needed the Black Pearls, I have figured out other things that I will require in order for us to make the beast corporeal. From taking a look at its fur, it appears to have some strange ghostly properties, which I'm not incredibly familiar with, but given the right unguents and salves, there is a way that we might be able to make it whole so that you can strike it or attack it or destroy it in some way.
Salves? Pardon me. Do you mean for us to rub some sort of lotion on the beast in order to be able to attack it?
She smirks for a moment. Goes, no, not at all. That's not what I meant. But there is definitely...
It's a very notable expression of relief.
The concoction that I'll be working on is actually a location. It's a location ritual. It will help me lock down what it is we need to make the creature corporeal. This is not my area of expertise. I'm an evoker. I've spent my entire life on the battlefield, stopping missiles from landing on my armies and, in turn, returning volleys towards the enemies. And so I'm very much outside of my comfort zone. But I told you about the Black Pearls, correct? It seems as though she legitimately does not remember if she told you. She seems very, very tired.
Yeah, you told us about the Black Pearls.
Yeah. We found someone who might have them, potentially.
Indeed.
Did you? Good. Okay.
Do you know a Patamine Grainwood?
She looks as though she's searching her mind for a moment. Palamine, you mean? Palamine.
Palamine, yes.
He lives... Yes, I think a man of some wealth who lives along the northwest side of the wall. I don't know. Go to the northwest side of town and ask around. I seem to remember a man coming and praying by that name, but I didn't pay it any mind, unfortunately. It's, how days go. You have the humdrum business of your daily operation, and, you forget names and faces and so on.
I know.
Aside from the Black Pearls, which I'll need to grind up and make into I need downleaf, and I need a vessel that's made of alabaster. Those are the other two things that I've come across. Unfortunately, the ritual is a little murky, and what comes after that, she lowers her voice even more. It requires materials of a sensitive nature. Were I in the capital on the mainland, I would be nervous about purchasing something of this kind, though not fearful. Here on the frontier, they're not items to be seen with. If you find anything having to do with spirifery or necromancy while you've been traveling around, unfortunately, I'll need to cross-reference some things. I don't want to be seen with these items, so please keep it clandestine should you come across them.
Necromancy? You saying you're going to bring the hound back from the dead?
Not quite. There are specificities involved with spirits such as these. They're in some ways untethered beneath realms, the immaterial and the material. The only the only class of magic which would deal with re-anchoring them and bringing them back would be those which deal with death. And unfortunately, people are not so accepting of those arts for obvious reasons. So it leaves me in the unenviable position of asking if you can come across something like that. I'm sure, given my position at the church, you understand why it would not be prudent for me to walk around asking for...
Though, unless one of my companions has a shady past they would like to divulge at this point, you may need to tell us exactly what we're looking for here. For I, for
certainly.
one, have not dabbled in such arts, and I wouldn't know what would constitute.
Can I make an Arcana check to know if I would know what would
Sure.
qualify?
I could make an Arcana check.
Yeah.
10. Ooh,
20.
Wow.
I know my magic-y things, apparently.
23! Damn.
Nice.
Since everyone's rolling it. 2. No, I am completely
I
pure.
mean, to be fair, you're the one person out of this group who doesn't have any background in regards to that, so it makes sense.
Shady. All shady. Adavi and Mormon, you two are the shadiest of the lot. Dax, at least, he's got a murky past, but he's not completely corrupt. Oh, keeping my eyes on you.
Dax, you just can't seem to come up with anything. You're thinking about it, and your experience with necromancy and the manipulation of souls is minimal, because that's actually a really, really dark area as far as things are concerned. Nusan, you don't know what they're talking about. You're just like, I don't know. No idea. I've heard something about necromancy, but hey, I don't know anything about it because I'm pure and clean. Whereas Adavi and Mormond, Adavi will do you first because yours is a little bit higher. I mean, anything above 20, though, is pretty high. You think back on the way that you feel when it comes to casting spells, and it seems to you as though death magic deals with the translocation of immaterial objects such as souls and things like that, and they need to either be in the material plane or they need to be in the afterlife, and when they get stuck in between, that's where you start to get strange oddities. And you try to think about it, and while there were no books available at the monastery, you would know that spirifery is the art of soul transferring, and so essentially taking a soul from one place and putting it into another, from one vessel and into another. Some people will use this to translocate bodies, which is a pretty filthy art and is generally looked down upon by just about everyone. But alternatively, it may allow the transfer of a soul into an object so that can be destroyed, therefore completely avoiding a confrontation with whatever it is you're trying to make material in the first place. So you briefly think that maybe that's what she's thinking, is that she wants to take the creature's soul and move it into a pot or like into a box or something and then smash it with a hammer.
Pot.
Mormon, you don't know a whole lot about necromancy, but you know that dwarves do not think that necromancy is okay. And having heard some of your elders talk about, the filthy, vile things that necromancers do, you draw some of the same conclusions from folklore and from hearsay, happenstance, and old tales that Adavi does.
I'm just looking a little bit concerned and a bit unhappy about this option. So you're going to bind it into something?
She smiles for a moment as though she didn't expect you to make the connection. Not in like an insulting way, but she just doesn't expect you to be educated when it comes to magic after all.
She doesn't expect you to be educated.
Sorry, wait, but you're educated? What?
Yeah, I mean, she studied, back on the mainland at like a magical university, and so she's used to, in some ways, making things accessible to the layman. And so she said, yes, I think for a creature like this, there will more than likely be an object that it is overly attached to, that it will guard very, very zealously. If we can take its soul, approaching the object, she kind of shrugs. Attacking the object or trying to destroy it might be difficult because it could be anything from, a block of marble to anything. You can never really tell what's going to be a vessel for a soul. If we can figure out some way to transfer it to something more destructible, then yes, that is what I'm leaning towards with the creature.
So you could bind it into, say, a marble pillar?
Well, let's assume for a moment that, I don't know, it's something that's very, very difficult to destroy. Just for argument's sake, we'll say a steel ingot is for whatever reason the vessel for this soul. It sounds unlikely, but for the case of exposition here, it would be very, very difficult to destroy that object or deal any damage to it or eliminate it aside from throwing it into a forge. After stealing it from the beast, will more than likely be guarding it very, very aggressively because it knows what it's bound to. Instead, if we could take that and put it into, say, I don't know, a small glass bead or into a clay pot or something of that kind, it would be super simple just to take it and throw it against a wall somewhere and the creature would be done.
You say that it's something that the beast is attached to, then we may have a little bit of difficulty because when it attacked me and did whatever it did, knocked me out, possibly killed me, I'm not sure, I had some sort of vision of a marble pillar. Apparently it's one that's found in various points around the island, a marble pillar with a bisected star on it. And something about the vision, I think the beast was going towards it. So if you're saying you don't have much control over...
This was a vision from the beast. Perhaps when it, for want of a better word, when it passed through you glimpsed into its mind.
And that specific pillar
possible
is from the Croftwood.
Yeah. It's one of, I think, 11 around the island. If you're saying that it just gets bound into something that it particularly likes for some reason, then perhaps it'll end up in that pillar. I'm not sure how easy it would be to defeat it then.
She nods. Yes, you said you had a vision when it struck you?
I think I mentioned it briefly when we gave you the hairs, but yeah, it seemed to be... It was a marble pillar. No marble I've seen before, probably something from this island. I mean, it's the pillars that are everywhere. I don't know if you know them.
I do. I'm aware. I've never taken any time to study them, but I've heard other mages in the area talking about them here and there. Sometimes people will go and make coal pressings of them, and I've heard that they've got a vaguely magical aura to them. But aside from that, I'm not too sure. I've been rather tied down here in Woodley with my assignment from the Scions. But yes, the items that the point that I was trying to get to, I suppose, is that the location spell will help me identify what the object is that it's attached to so that you can find it, and from there will transfer the soul to a more easily destroyed object should whatever it's bound its soul to be inconvenient to destroy.
By the way, can anyone else hear quite a lot of popping on people's voices over Skype?
No.
No.
Okay, that might be my muxing software at this end then. I think it's bearable for now, but during the break we might do a quick restart.
Sure.
All right.
Well, very well. We'll do our best to locate some of these objects that you've referenced. The alabaster vessel, I suppose a trip back to the markets would help us there. Downleaf. Out of character, would my character have any idea what that is? Is it like a normal herb or a plant or something?
You can make a nature check or like a survival check.
Sure. Is nature... sure, I'll roll survival if it's okay.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
24.
Okay, so with a 24, you would know that downleaf is it's kind of like an ivy. It essentially grows all over stuff, but in general, since you're new to the island, you're not sure exactly where it would grow here. You know, it tends to be from forested places where there's a lot of like humus beneath the soil, where, you know, there's lots and lots of space and kind of detritus from trees and things of that nature.
Okay. The downleaf, I take it we might be able to find that in the Croftwood. Does it grow there? I'm being a stranger to this land, I wouldn't know.
Yes, in the Croftwood you would more than likely find it. I believe that we here in Woodley, due to the quarantine, the fields have failed in some regard, and so we've got a trade going on with the Croftwood Circle. I don't know if you've heard of them, but the Croftwood Circle, there's a group of naturalists and druids who live there. They've chosen to throw off civilized life and live out there, and they cultivate fields, and I believe they grow all kinds of alchemical components. The agreement here in Woodley is that due to the crops failing, we've got a massive amount of fertilizer just left over that none of the fields seem to be able to use. We trade them that fertilizer, and every now and again when they harvest their gardens, they bring in fresh produce, and it's been enough to sustain us over the last little bit. But they would more than likely have the best idea where to get down leaf from if they don't have it themselves.
Well, I'm familiar with what it looks like. Perhaps I would be able to simply find some, but if not, then perhaps if we take a small offering to these druids in exchange for their help, I'm certain it wouldn't go amiss to be respectful of their domain.
Certainly, I'd be very, very careful around them. They can be quite chaotic at times. I've gone to visit for a few of the delegations concerning the talks for trades and things of that nature, and they don't like city dwellers. They prefer to keep to their own. So be careful when you walk in their wood.
But for my venture to the Craftwood, there was mention of an offering of plum wine. Would this happen to be for those druids?
Persuasion check.
Okay. $15.
Okay. Let me go ahead and...
give me 1 sec. Music's just the sound is going to cut out for
Sorry.
5 seconds and then
rolled,
go back on.
Completely rolled the wrong thing. I rolled perception. I rolled a 10 without.
We got an echo right now too.
He just said he was messing around with that.
Okay, we're back.
She looks as though she ponders the question for a moment, and then she says, "Well, the plum wine is more of an offering. It's not specifically for the druids. It's more for the Croftwood itself."
The Croftwood. I see. And I seem to just flatly accept that because in Myanmar, there's a very strong belief that everything, every rock, every river, every wood has a spirit, in some cases many. And the idea of making offerings for safe passage or for bountiful hunting, these are very, very readily accepted traditions. So I seem to just accept that immediately.
As you accept it, she says, have you acquired the plum wine? If you're going into the Croftwood, I would highly recommend.
Not yet, but we will be before we venture into the Croftwood.
Okay, good. I just don't want to see anything happen to you when you go out there. Be careful about the way that you approach the Croftwood. It's a strange place.
Are the spirits of the Croftwoods inhospitable? Has the town angered it in some way?
No, but as with the rest of this place, the Vagrant Isle, while not inherently hostile, it can be difficult to explain, but it's just a bit more wild than what we're used to on the mainland. Since coming here, I've learned to accept things much more readily, and the propitiations sound foolish when you first arrive, but I promise they all have a point. This is not the place to be a cynic.
I know. This being the second time that I've heard that, I'm more or less just accepting it at this point.
Okay.
Sounds like I've wasted good wine to me.
She laughs. She chuckles slightly as well. It's not much for the drinking in the first place. I never really liked the taste of the stuff, so I suppose it's not lost giving it to the earth.
If it means safe passage, it's worth it. I mentioned to our dwarven friend.
Where do we get it from?
As long as we get something in return.
That's a tough call. I would speak with the merchants, I suppose. Aside from that, I think all of the orchards that were out by the western marshes have more or less shut down. The earth, like I said, went fallow and the trees died pretty quickly once the fog rolled in. Our production here, as far as trade goods goes, from what I've heard around tavern tables, is that it's falling apart around here.
Except for the help of the druids.
Certainly. Without them, a great number of our population probably would have starved already.
They're being paid quite a high price for this.
As of right now, they seem to just be accepting. As of right now, they seem to just be accepting the fertilizer we send out there. Apparently, the earth at the Croftwood does not take easily to plants, and the fertilizer helps. I don't know, ready it in some way. I'm not a farmer, but that seems to be payment enough for them. They haven't complained.
Think not hard on it, my dwarvish friend. People of the wilds value different things than metal.
And ale.
I smirk at that. Very well, we've taken enough of your time, and the day is already marching on. We should be off and begin gathering supplies ready for, well, are we in agreement? Are we going to be making our way to the Croftwood? It would seem reasonable. And then perhaps of the evening we could see about acquiring these black pills.
Indeed.
And not to Adavi, but look to Dax and Moment.
I must admit, I've mostly been trying to fight audio issues on my end, so I've only been half listening to the conversation, but Dax is fully ready and raring to go.
No. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and I look back to Mary Shelby. Was there anything else that you thought that we should know before we leave?
Not at all. I think that's about all that I wish to convey. Thank you for coming over here with me. It's a strange meeting, I agree, but I didn't want things to fall on the wrong ears and undermine our efforts.
Understandable. Well, before we head out, our accounts are currently being managed as part of the guard, certainly our room and board. Should we have to press upon that credit to acquire the less civilized items that you mentioned, should we be concerned about revealing the truth of the purchases to the lieutenant, or would he be a sympathetic ear? He didn't seem much to care for superstitions, but, and my voice drops, necromancy is a different topic altogether.
I would keep this concealed from Addy for now. If he's handling the finances of your journey, I would employ some amount of subterfuge. While it does not bring me a great amount of joy to encourage you to deceive my dear old friend, I don't think he'll understand.
A gold-plated chamber pot.
His brow at a daffy and sniffle a chuckle. Very well, we've kept you long enough away from the temple. We'll be on our way, and hopefully we'll be able to return later on this evening with at least some of the items that you require.
Certainly. I'm going to get some rest for now. It's been a rough few days.
I hope you won't mind me saying that you do seem to have worked overlong the last few nights. Rest would do you well.
My enthusiasm has been somewhat goaded by the fact that we finally have a path to follow. There's been a hopelessness in the air, and now that things are finally moving forward, it feels good to be on that path.
I understand. And with that, I step back, because we kind of more or less had this almost conspiratorial little huddle while we've been talking, and I step back and make a path for her to clear and just, make ready for us to disperse.
Sure. You notice as you separate and she heads back to the temple and you head about your business, that the fog is especially thick today. Like, it's almost like soupy. It's
the
not
same
incredibly...
fog that came from the north and has an odd kind of taste and character to it.
The one and the same.
The others will notice me lift up some of my robe and just kind of tuck it around my face, almost like a little bit of one of the inner layers, just to mask my nose and mouth.
I do what I did yesterday with that spare bit of cloth.
Yep.
I'm just going to read them deeply. I've always liked the fog, but this does, it's a little bothersome, but I don't care.
Yeah, you feel the smell and the taste of it kind of seep into your mouth and like your nasal cavity, and it just kind of gets in there. But It still feels kind of like fog. It's still got kind of like that cold, murky feeling that some people like. I don't know. I enjoy breathing in the fog when I'm by the ocean too. So I get it. Yeah. It's just got a weird aftertaste and smell to it.
I take a look around at it. Like, if this is the Hound's doing, this is a little bit angry with us today.
Perception checks, please. Where are you all headed to, by the way, while you're doing that?
I assume we're headed back towards the breakfast that we got ready.
No, that's not where I was headed, but if that's where everyone else was headed, then I would have been following along.
I got a 20.
Ooh.
Perception.
I know exactly what's going on, whatever it is.
You've got a 21, I've got a 10, Dahlia's got an 18. And Dax has a 17.
Okay. Let's see, Dax, Mormond, and Adavia, as you walk back across town and you walk into the tavern to go get your breakfast, let's see, Adavi, you will see Ibn Turab sitting at a table off in the corner of the room. Mormond, you see a dark-skinned man sitting in robes that appear to be somewhat like Nosons, but with different embellishments. Like, they're different in a way, but they still seem to be chasing the same. Yeah, they seem to be chasing the same function and style. Dax, you also make that connection.
Is he a friend of yours?
Who? Follow his line. Oh, I pause for a moment as if searching my memory. Ibn Turab, I believe. We met him yesterday. Were you with us? No, you weren't. There was much you missed out yesterday.
He's a rather nice fellow.
Yeah, right now he's sitting with his chair slightly back and his feet up on the table, staring down at what appears to be a book of some kind, and his staff is kind of leaning along his side as he looks downwards.
Okay. Would it be possible to go to a really short break so I can restart the stream?
Yeah, if you need to.
Your voice, especially Spat, for some reason is popping quite a lot. I don't know why it is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively just restart the PC. I suspect it's just a dodgy start, so...
Okay. So with that, I suppose we'll be back very shortly.
We'll be right back, folks.